Welcome to a new part of the ISM Statistics 1 exercise set. This time with an exercise on boxplots and quantiles. Let's consider the exercise. A sample of YouTube music videos is analyzed and the number of views in 10,000 is summarized below. Prepare a boxplot based on the dataset. Let's start with rearranging the dataset in an ascending fashion. So we start with the smallest numbers, that's the 0.3, the 1.8, the 8.5, the 9.6, and so forth. We carry on for all the different numbers. And why are we doing this? Well, because this makes it much easier to get a number of the other statistics we need in the next step. So we just copy this ordered data set, and we need to find 5 statistics to get the box plot in a way it's supposed to be. What 5 statistics are those? Well, we have to start with the minimum. The advantage of having an ordered data set is that the first value actually is the minimum. So no extra work to be done here. So we can go to the second part. This is about getting the first quartile. The first quartile, or the 25% percentile, can be got by multiplying 25% with the number of observations. Here we have 10 observations, so we go 0.25 times 10 gives us 2.5. This value then is rounded up to the next integer, and in this case this is 3, so at position 3, here with 8.5, we find our first quartile. And the next value then is the median. For the median, there are 2 different ways of calculating this, depending on whether we have an odd number or an even number of observations. Here, as mentioned before, we have 10 observations, so an even number, which means we need to find the 2 values in the middle of the ordered data set. And this can be done by calculating first of position 0.5 times the number of participants in the data set, so here it's 5, and 0.5 times the observations plus 1, so we have 5, position 5, and position 6. In position 5 we find the value 15, at position 6 we find the value 20.7. So we add both of those values up and then multiply them with 0.5, giving us a median of 17.85. So far so good. So the next up is the third quartile. Here we basically did the same as with the first quartile. We interpret this as a percentile and thus multiply 0.75 with 10, the number of observations. We get 7.5, and we round this up to the next integer, which is 8. So at the 8th position we find the third quartile, and thus the third quartile is 74.3. The only thing left is then the maximum. As we have the ordered data set, the maximum is the last value in the ordered data set. So here 213.4. With those values we can then construct the box plot. For the box plot, the lower part of the box is given by the first quartile, the upper part of the box by the third quartile, and the median being the line in the middle of the box, dividing the box in 2 parts. The minimum then defines the lower whisker and the maximum the upper whisker. So if we illustrate this in the plotted version, we get a graph, a figure as follows. We see we have a very large upper whisker and very small lower part. This means that the distribution is structured in a way that the first 50% of the data set are relatively close to each other, whereas the upper part, the upper 50%, the larger 50% of the data set are spaced relatively way apart from each other. With this in mind, we can conclude this exercise, and I hope you enjoyed listening to this. and learned at least something from it. So until next time, see you and goodbye.